the Madman!
Welcome to a very exciting new card reveal from Murder at Castle Nathria. This is Imp King Rafaam version! We're jumping right into it with Imp King Rafaam! Rafaam's back. He's in the Shadowlands. Is he dead? 6 mana, 6/6 legendary. Battlecry, resurrect 4 friendly imps. Infuse 5. Give your imps +2/+2. So, I mean, you look at this card without looking at the other cards. It's like, what's an imp? It's like what? Those 1/1 guys, the 4/1 Death Rattle imp, there's the Flame imp, there's the imps from Dreadlich Tamsin card. But you know what you actually want. You want this imp. Mischievous Imp, 4 mana, 3/3 demon. Battlecry, summon a copy of this. Infuse 3, summon 2 copies instead. 4 mana, 9/9. You know, if you summon this with Rafaam, it's a 5/5. That's pretty good. Now, of course, you're going to want to put this into a deck that has stuff die turns 1, 2, and 3, presumably, so that you can play this on curve, Battlecry, play the 4 mana, 9/9. That's pretty sick. By itself, like, even if you don't infuse it, it's 4 mana, 6/6, that's pretty good. You got your starter card for your Imp Zoo deck here. 1 mana, 1/3 Flustered Librarian. Has +1 attack for each imp you control. Seems pretty sound. You curve this into the Vile Library on 2, perhaps. Vile Library, it's the location for Warlock. 2 mana, 2 charges. Give a friendly minion +1/+1. Repeat for each imp you control. So this card is really good with cards that summon multiple imps. You got Wicked Shipment for 1 mana to summon 2 imps. You got Fiendish Circle for 3 mana to summon 4 imps. If you play Vile Library on 2 and Fiendish Circle on 3, then on turn 3 you're going to have a 5/5 and, 6/6 and 3/1/1s. It's repeat for each imp you control, so +5/+5 with 4 imps out. Of course, Zoo decks don't necessarily want to skip turn 2, but for that kind of payoff, I could see it. But hey, I haven't even shown the card that's most likely to be the most overpowered one. Impending Catastrophe! 2 mana shadow spell, draw a card, repeat for each imp you control. So if you traded your Wicked Shipment away and then you got it back, and then your 1 mana card is summoning 4 imps, then that's 3 mana to draw 5 cards! Two cards, draw 5, which is kind of like 1 card, draw 4. Something like that. There's a lot of different ways you could get a bunch of imps in play. Wicked Shipment is probably the most likely way. This could be great, of course, in a Imp Zoo deck, because you're going to fill your deck full of imps anyways. This package is very, directed towards, like, seeing these 5 cards, it reminds me of when I saw the Mech Mage cards or the Naga Mage cards in the last expansion. I was like, wow. I'm already ready to call that a tier 1 deck. So I'm definitely ready to call this a strong deck the moment it comes out. You might not even end up running the cards that aren't Impending Catastrophe, but Impending Catastrophe in particular looks pretty insane. Because even if you're playing a combo Warlock deck, you could run Wicked Shipment and Impending Catastrophe. Maybe you're playing Quest Warlock. They were kind of missing a card that drew a bunch of cards, so this could do it. Yeah, that seems pretty good. And now that we see all these imp cards, we see a Mischievous Imp, we look at Imp King Rafaam, we have a greater respect for this card because imps are small, they're gonna die, so your infuse is gonna go off, and resurrect 4 friendly imps suddenly doesn't just look like you're getting 4 3/3s to get a total of 12 stats plus 12 in stats plus the 6/6. So it's not just a 6 mana 18/18. It's actually the imps are bigger. You're gonna have some 3/3 imps. You're gonna have some 3/2 imps perhaps. But let's suppose that the average imp size ends up being a 2/2. Then you're summoning, and I think that's conservative. You're getting 8/8 in base imps. You're giving them all +2/+2. So that's 16/16, and then you have Rafaam himself for the 6/6. That's a casual 22/22 in stats for 6 mana. Not bad. Not bad. You don't even have to resurrect friendly imps. You can just play it while you have a board of imps, and then play it to give all your imps +2/+2. I mean, that's pretty good just by itself, too. You know what's really sick? you play Rafaam, and then you play Impending Catastrophe, and then you draw 5 cards. So yeah, this looks very good. Certainly going to be probably the deck to beat when the expansion first comes out. But I'm certain that they tested all of this, right? And it's got to be balanced against the other stuff, right? Because it looks so blatantly strong, it must have gotten tested. Impending Catastrophe, this card is... I cannot see a world where this is not overpowered. Holy cow. Oh, yeah, I mean, the Ruined Mithril Rod is even in the meta still, so, you know, you casually draw your 5 cards for 2 mana, and then all those cards are discounted by 1 while you're at it. Yeah, it seems good. Okay, now let's back up a little bit for probably the most amusing reveal I've ever seen. Relic Vault. Oh man, it's the Demon Hunter location, watch out. 3 mana location for Demon Hunter. The next relic you play this turn casts twice. 2 durability. Holy cow, I can't believe they printed such an overpowered card. Oh my god! I can't believe that they would let you copy relics twice, and you can do it twice. Jeez, Demon Hunter is going to be busted. This is, by the way, the only Demon Hunter card revealed so far. It is possible that you've seen something leaked, but we don't talk about leaked cards. No, no, no. You don't even know what a relic is. It's like, holy cow, is this OP? Is this underpowered? No one has any idea. What's a relic? Do you pick it up with a monk and then you convert the enemy team? One thing that's not hilarious, but actually one of the coolest cards I've ever seen. This is the Warrior Legendary. 7 mana, 4/10, Remornia, Living Blade. It's got Rush, and after this attacks, equip it.
Your blood for the sire! Into ribbons! Make them bleed!
Remornia is so happy to just, like, be at your side.
Blood for the sire! Into ribbons!
Now that's some good voice acting. So that's a card you kind of needed to see in action to see how strong the card is. And yes, there was a misplay in the video. When the minion is a minion, you should attack the low attack value minion, because the durability is, you know, each time you attack the weapon, the health only goes down by 1. So, you know, try to hit the higher attack minions with the weapon and try to hit the lower attack minions with the minion version. But yeah, as you can see, this card will very consistently kill 3 things, or possibly 2 things, one of which has a lot of health. Comes into play as a weapon, rushes, becomes a weapon in your hand after you attack with it. You swing with the remaining 4 attack / remaining health blade into anything, and then it becomes a weapon again, the minion again. Minion has rush again, so you can attack into something else, and then it's kind of sits at your hand, and it's safe because it's a weapon, can only be affected by weapon destruction. When it's a weapon, it can be buffed by weapon buffs. When it's a minion, it can be buffed by minion buffs. You can hand buff this while it's in your hand. Now, obviously, each time you attack, the downside is Remornia will transform back into a minion, and then, you know, she's in danger again. But the point is, I think this will be a card it's just like very cool, and also could be included in a lot of board-centric control warriors, or even like a mid-range or a valley warrior or something like that. Note that since you can only attack once per turn with a weapon, the most number of times this can attack under normal conditions, you know, without Wind Fury or something, would be 3. And if it did have Wind Fury, the most number of times it could theoretically attack would be 5, right? It comes into play, you rush, kill something, attack with your weapon, rush, kill something, attack with your weapon, rush, kill something. And then there it stops. But yeah, really cool card. Over in Shaman, we see another card that seems to be directed towards the new Shaman archetype. We got a Convincing Disguise featuring Brukan. I bet you didn't know that this was Brukan, by the way. 1 mana, transform a friendly minion into one that costs 2 more. Infuse 4, transform all friendly minions instead. Woo! So this card is perhaps decent enough just by itself. 1 mana transform a friendly minion, costs 2 more. You could combine that with Baroness Vosh. I'm sure there's going to be other cards in this set that are good for Shaman, which will make them want to transform minions. Looks like it's a mechanic that's going to certainly be pushed, considering all 4 of the revealed cards so far have to do with evolving. Obviously, you start looking into what's going to be good to evolve. You got the tiny toys, and we have to, sit still and wait for a bit to see what else is going to be good, but generally high mana cost cards with strong battle cries and bad stats. Mage has a solid Alibi. It's a 2 mana frost spell. Until your next turn, your hero can only take 1 damage at a time. This is clearly designed for the very late game control mage or combo mage, where you're trying to just stay alive for a little bit longer. You play your solid Alibi. Your opponent's got, I don't know, 5 attack weapon, 2 5 attack minions. Suddenly, those 3 sources of damage, which would normally deal 15 to you, will only deal 3 damage. It seems to me like this is impractical at the moment because I cannot think of a mage deck which wants to play a spell to essentially gain health. Basically a heal spell, and I don't necessarily think that mage has a deck that wants that right now, including the new archetype around the horizon, which looks to be like the volatile skeleton deck. I don't think they need to gain health, so to say. Hunter has 2 board-centric cards as well. First up is Stonebound Gargon, 4 mana 3/5 beast with rush. Infuse 3 also damages the minion next to whomever this attacks. Hunter does have a beast archetype out there right now, big beast archetype. Will Stonebound Gargon fit into that archetype? Probably not, because this is not a big beast. Also, not that many minions die, although it is worth mentioning that Hunter does have Springpaw in their collection of available cards. This is a card that would want to be put into a Hunter deck with a lot of small things which would die. The problem with Hunter having cards like this is they don't have a lot of card draw, they don't have a lot of control elements. So, like, compared to the other classes, if they were looking for some late game value deck, just because of their hero power and their supporting cards, it's pretty difficult to see a deck where Stonebound Gargon will be good. Which is a shame because we compare this with the other Hunter card, the legendary. It's Huntsman Altimor. 7 mana 5/4, Battlecry, summon a Gargon companion. And at Infuse 4 and 8, you summon another and another. At 8 infuses, this is like Call of the Wild, except you get a free 5/4. And all you have to do is have 8 friendly minions die while Altimor is in your hand. That's actually pretty hard. Do consider that the Hydrolodon card is by itself Infuse 7, though, so that's a combo. Have Altimor in your hand, play Hydrolodon. It's a very tricky card to evaluate. You do have to see the other Hunter cards to see whether or not a late-game, control-ish Hunter deck is even remotely viable. Currently, it seems like other decks would probably do it better, but we'll see, okay? We'll be nice and say, we'll see. The card isn't that bad as stats for the cost if you just summon 1 Gargon companion. It's still bad. And if you summon 2 Gargon companions, that's pretty solid already. If you're looking to put Altimor in your deck, you're really looking for the big payoff of Infuse 8, which is not the easiest to do. Alright, the neutrals we've got. Insatiable Devourer, 9 mana 4/4, Battlecry, devour an enemy minion, and gain its stats. Infuse 5, and its neighbors. If the meta slows down by an enormous amount, and I mean it has to be so ridiculously enormous, you could see Insatiable Devourer being played. Of course, when you see big mana cards, you should be thinking Druid. And you should be thinking that Scales of Onyxia does single-handedly infuse this card. It's got potential, but it is very difficult to find a card that you'd want to cut to put in an Insatiable Devourer into the deck when there's so many cards that are already cards you can't cut from that deck. In Arena, this card will be ludicrous. I wonder if this is going to be a day 1 Arena ban. We've got a amusingly named Red Herring, 7 mana 3/12 beast with taunt. Your non-red herring minions have stealth. It's a fish. It's a big fish. A red fish. The red herring is so blatant that you want to pay attention to it that you don't pay attention to anything else. It gives your board stealth, so while the red herring's on the board, you just beat them up with your minion board. But probably too slow. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you're paying a lot of mana for stats that aren't like remarkable at 7 mana. And sure, your other minions having stealth would be nice, but at the end of the day, they're just going to kill this for less mana, and then they'll kill your minions. And you didn't really take advantage of your board advantage by just paying 7 mana for 3/12, probably. Only reason you might want this is perhaps Big Beast Hunter is a big beast. Pretty big stats, could guard your other beasts. But I think Big Beast Hunter has better beasts that are bigger as well. We've got Demolition Renovator, 4 mana 4/4, Battle Cry, destroy an enemy location. It's the nice simple tech card where if a location is too strong or too many people are using it, you switch in the Demolition Renovator. The custom card I reviewed was a 3 mana 3/3, take control of an enemy location, and I commented, it looks a little bit strong, probably should just destroy it. And here you have it. I fully expected it. It's always fun to look at the custom Hearthstone cards, especially during reveal season, to see how close some of the creations get to the actual cards, because I'm quite certain that if you come up with a basic idea that fits the theme, that there's a decent chance it'll actually be in the set. Anyways, I don't expect this card to have much of an impact because all the classes should have 1 location. A lot of the classes are going to immediately be using the location the turn comes out, so you're already only destroying like probably a 1 charge location. It remains to be seen if any locations are going to be so overpowered that you actually need to run the Demolition Renovator to have a chance against those decks. That's the conditions where you'd run this card. And finally, we've got Dispossessed Soul. 4 mana 4/5. Battlecry, if you control location, discover a copy of a card in your deck. That's like the best card draw I've seen in a long time. It reminds me of Entrapped Sorceress, which was also quite good. Entrapped Sorceress arguably was better because the quest always started in your opening hand, and that was a 3 mana 3/4. Dispossessed Soul, 4 mana 4/5. If you only have 2 locations in your deck, probably remains to be seen. But the locations last a while, so play an early location, play the Dispossessed Soul, you get some good stats for the cost. You also get a copy of a card in your deck that's better than discovering a spell, probably. This is neutral, so you could run it in any deck with locations, but the deck that I'd most strongly consider running this card in would be Quest Priest, where you run the Cathedral at the 2 mana area, and then, it has 3 charges. You play 4 mana Dispossessed Soul. That seems good. And then you buff this, and it's like a 4 mana 6/6, and then you draw another card. There's a lot of decks out there that this looks like good value in. So that was a very exciting set of cards. Looking forward to figuring out what exactly a relic is. Probably coming very soon.